Good evening, the honorable adjudicators, respected member of the House, my fellow debaters, and ladies and gentlemen present here. I'm standing here as the opening government, proudly supporting today's motions that this House believes that academic pressure is the primary cause of students' mental health issues. We believe that in today's education system, the weight of academic expectations from schools, parents, and society has become the main trigger for student stress, anxiety, and even depression. In this debate, I will explain why academic pressure is the main cause supported by facts, data, and logic. Before we have before we move further, let's define the motion clearly. First is academic pressure means the stress that students feel to achieve high grades, meet deadline, and fulfill academic expectations. Mental health issues refer to problems like stress, anxiety, burnout, and depressions that affect a student's emotional and psychological well-being. We are not saying that other factors like family or social problems don't affect mental health, but today we will prove that academic pressure is the primary or main cause because it happens to almost every student and deeply affects their daily life. Alright, our first argument is about stress and anxiety. A study by the American Psychological Association APA in 2022 found that 61% of students said academic pressure is their number one source of stress, more than family, friends, or even financial issues. In Indonesia, a survey by Kementerian Pendidikan dan Kebudayaan in 2023 showed that 7 out of 10 high school and university students feel anxious before exams or when facing academic deadlines. Why? Because the educations of measures a student's worth only by grades or test scores. Students feels failure, disappointment, or punishment. They feel that if they don't succeed in academically, they will disappoint their parents and lose their future. This constant fear creates chronic stress, leading to sleep problems, loss of motivations, and even depression. The second, academic pressures grow stronger because of competitions and unrealistic expectations. In modern educations, everything is race. Who gets the highest GPA, who gets the scholarship, who enters the best university. According to a study by Harvard Health in 2021, students in highly competitive schools are 3 times more likely to experience anxiety or depression than those in moderate academic environments. Students are forced to take extra classes, stay up late studying, and sacrifice sleep or social life just to keep up with academic demands. When they fail to meet expectations, they blame themselves, creating guilt and low self-esteem. This shows that the system of over competitions built on academic pressure is what destroys students' mental health. Third, academic pressures directly leads to burnout, a condition of emotional exhaustion and loss of interest of study. Exhaustion, cynicism, and reduce of performance. Many students experience burnout not because they are lazy, but because they are overloaded. Too many tasks, too many little rest, and no emotional support. For example, is during online learning after the pandemic, millions of students worldwide reporting feeling empty and tired of school. This burnout often develops into serious mental health issues such as depressions or anxiety disorder. Clearly, academic pressure is not just temporary stress, it's long-term mental burden. And then finally, we must acknowledge the role of parents and culture that prioritize academic success over mental well-being. In many Asian countries, including Indonesia, parents often compare their children's grades with others. A study from National University of Singapore in 2020 found that Asian students face higher academic pressure because of cultural beliefs that link good grades to family honor. As a result, students hide their mental struggles, pretending to be fine while suffering inside. This culture pressure multiplies academic stress and making it the primary and most visible cause of mental health problems among students. The oppositions might say that mental health problems can also come from family issues, poverty, or social media. And we do not deny that, but those factors are external and do not affect every student in the same way. And then, so the honorable educators and respected audience, let's remember what we've proven today. First is academic pressures cause the highest stress and anxiety levels among students. Second is competition and expectation worsen mental health. And third, it leads to burnout and lost motivation. And fourth is cultural and parental expectation intensify this problem. Therefore, we as the opening government strongly believe that academic pressure is indeed the primary cause of students' mental health issues. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As the opening opposition, we strongly disagree with the motion. This House believes that academic pressure is the primary cause of student mental health issues. Before we go further, let's first clarify what this motion means. The government side claims that academic pressure, things like exam deadlines or high expectation from teachers and parents, is the main reasons for students struggle with mental health problems such as stress, anxiety, or burnout. However, our team believes this view is too narrow. We agree that academic pressure can contribute to stress, but it is not the primary cause. Student mental health is affected by many different factors, including family environment, social media, peer pressure, financial problems, and even lack of emotional support from adults. So, blaming academics as the main cause oversimplifies as a much deeper and more complex issue. Our stance is clear. We believe that mental health problems among students are caused by multiple pressures, not just school or academics. In fact, a 2022 UNICEF report found that while 37% reported stress from schoolwork and over 60% said their anxiety came from social and family expectation or online comparison through social media. This means the main problem is not about academic pressure alone, it's the overall environment that shapes how students handle stress. In conclusion, our team stands on the belief that academic pressure should not be blamed as the primary cause of student mental health issues. Instead, we must look at the broader picture where emotional support, family relationship, and influence play an even bigger role. Education should help students manage pressure, not remove.
Alright, honorable educators, ladies and gentlemen, as the second of the Afghani government, I stand strongly with my team's stance. Academic pressure is indeed the primary cause of the student mental health issues. My role today is to strengthen our case, extend our analysis, and respond to possible opposition arguments. First, let's clarify what we mean by academic pressure. It refers to the constant demand for high achievement through grades, exam rankings, and expectation from parents, teachers, and even society. This pressure shapes how students think and live, even thus becomes a measure of self-worth. Every grade determines future success. Over time, this transforms learning from something joyful into something fearful. Research from the World Health Organization 2023 found that nearly 14-16% of students aged 13 till 17 report anxiety symptoms related to school workload and academic expectations. That number is not only high, it's alarming. When almost half of young people feel mentally distressed because academic burden, can we still deny that is the main cause? Let's move beyond data and see how it's happened psychologically. Academic pressure triggers chronic stress, leading to sleep deprivation, low self-esteem, and burnout. Students begin to fear failure so much that even small setbacks feel catastrophic. A 2022 study by the American Psychological Association saw that students under high academic pressure produce a elevated level of Crystal, the stress hormone daily. These physiological stress response leads to anxiety, fatigue, and even depression. Moreover, the environment often reinforces guilt. If you feel you're lazy, if you rest, you're wasting time. This toxic mindset pushes students to constantly overwork, disconnect from peers, and lose joy in learning. So, this teen is clear pressure, stress, anxiety, burnout, and mental breakdown. Now, the opposition might argue late academic pressure isn't the only cause. What about family problems, social media, or peer bullying? We acknowledge these factors, but there's this difference. These are external and situational, while academic pressure is institutional and systematic. Every student faces it regardless of their background is built into the structure of modern education system. You can't expect escape it because it's normalized as discipline or motivation. When stress becomes part of daily schooling, it becomes the primary driver of student mental stress. Let's use a simple analogy. If a building keeps collapsing, we don't blame the rain, with excitement is foundation. Academic system built on excessive competition are the unstable foundation. Last talk numbers gained. According to 2023 UNICEF and ASEAN Youth Mental Health Report, 1 in 3 high school students in Indonesia report feeling emotionally exhausted due to school-related stress. 27 of university students say they experience insomnia, loss of motivation, and self-doubt primarily because of academic expectation. And third, and globally, suicide is now the fourth leading cause of death among adults gained with the academic stress in the feed one of the strongly prediction according to WHO 2023. These are not coincidence, they are consequence. If education is meant to nurture human potential, yet it ends up hurting the mind of those it claims to help, then something has gone wrong. Education should with curiosity, confidence, and resilience, not insanity and despair. We are not saying academic challenge should disappear. We're saying it should be balanced. Encouragement should replace punishment. Support should replace comprehension. That's the moral core of the our state. Ladies and gentlemen, academic pressure has become a silent epidemic. It's institutionalized, normalized, and yet profoundly harmful. We shown to show it starts, how it spreads, and how it damages student mentally, emotionally, and physically. We've shown data proving its goal. We've proven that it's not just one factor, it's the core factor driving mental distress among students today. Education should empower, not exhaust. It should inspire, not intimidate. Therefore, the opening government firmly believe that academic pressure is the primary cause of student mental health issues, and we must rethink how we measure success before we lose another generation to burnout. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, everyone. As the second speaker of the opening opposition, I will continue to support our stand that academic pressure is not the primary cause of student mental health issues. My partner has already explained that students face various types of pressure, not just academic ones, and now I will strengthen our argument by giving two main points. The first one is the role of family and social environment, and the second one is the influence of social media and lifestyle factors. First, let's talk about families and social environment. Many students experience mental health problems because of unstable family conditions, such as a strict parenting, financial difficulties, and high expectation from parents. For example, a student might already feel stressed at home even before school begins. This kind of emotional burden is not caused by exam or grades, but by family pressure and lack of emotional support. Without a safe and supportive home, even a small amount of education of academic work can feel overwhelmed. Second, the influence of social media and peer pressure is also very significant. Nowadays, students constantly compare themselves to others online, saying perfect grades and achievement or lifestyle. And this leads to feelings and anxiety which often has nothing to do with schoolwork itself. In fact, research by APA in 2023 showed that social comparison and digital pressure are among the top cause of teenage stress today. In short, academic pressure is only one part of a so much bigger puzzle. When students lack emotional support, face family problem, and constantly compare themselves on social media, their mental health becomes fragile. Even if academic tasks are not that heavy, and therefore we are the opening opposition strongly believe that academic pressure could not be labeled as the main cause of mental health problems. It's time to see the issues from the wider perspective so we can give students the real kind of help they need. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, honorable judges, as the member of the closing government, I strongly reaffirm that academic pressure is the primary cause of student mental health problems. The opening government has shown how exam and grades cause anxiety and stress, and I will extend this by arguing that academic pressure is systemic, constant, and deeply rooted in students' daily lives, making it the main and most persistent source of distress. According to WHO 2023, 70% of students report that academic workload and fear of failure are their main source of anxiety, far outweigh social or family problems. Unlike environmental or personal issues, academic pressure is institutional. It dictates students' time, self-worth, and even future opportunities. The opportunity opposition claims that mental health problems come from multiple factors like family or environment, but these are often triggered or amplified by academic demands, family conflict over grades, peer competition, and burnout all begin with academic expectation. Academic pressure is the core catalyst around which all other stressors revolve. The word here is that when an entire system defines such as success by grades and rankings, it creates a culture of fear and inadequacy that directly harms mental health. To claim that such pressure yields resilience is misguided. Prolonged academic stress doesn't make students stronger, it breaks them down. Therefore, our stance is clear. Academic pressure is not just one factor, it is the root cause of student anxiety, depression, and burnout. And recognizing this the first step toward healthier education. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'm the chef of Sahara as a speaker one of crossing opposition. I strongly again that motion the academic pressure is the primary cause of student mental health issue. While we agree that academic pressure can contribute to stress, we firmly believe it is not the main cause. Mental health problems among students are much more complex and are influenced by a combination of social, emotional, and environmental factors. First of all, academic pressure is only one part of a bigger problem. Student mental health is shaped by many factors such as family problem, financial struggle, social pressure, and even personal identify issue. For example, students face family conflict, financial hardship, will likely experience stress even without heavy academic demands. On the other hand, students who have strong emotional and family support are often able to handle academic challenge better. Therefore, it is inaccurate to claim that academic pressure is the primary cause is it is only one of many contributing elements. Secondly, we cannot ignore the huge impact of social and technological factors. In this modern era, students are constantly exposed to social media, where they compare their life and achievement to others. This creates unrealistic expectation and feeling of inadequacy. Many students feel anxious or depressed not because of their grade, but because of constant comparison and fear of not being good enough in the eyes of others. Research has shown that social comparison and online pressure are no stronger prediction of mental health problems than academic stress itself. So, if we only blame academic system, we are ignoring the real and growing influence of technology on student mental well-being. Thirdly, one of the cause of mental health issue is the lack of coping skill and emotional education. Most schools focus heavily on grade and performance, but they rarely teach students how to deal with stress, failure, of or pressure. When challenges come, whether academic, social, or personal, students often do not know how to manage their emotion or where to seek help. The problem, therefore, is not simply the existence of pressure, but the lack of preparation to face it. Saying that academic pressure is the primary cause of our simplest a much deeper issue and ignore the importance of building emotional resilience. Now, let me also respond to what closing government might argue that may say that school and teacher create an environment full of academic demands, which directly leads to stress and burnout. But we argue that pressure itself is not always negative. A reasonable level of academic challenge can actually motivate students to grow, improve, and reach their potential. The real issue is how that pressure is managed and supported. Instead of blaming the academic system, we should focus on creating healthier school environment which accessible, counseling, peer support, and open discussion about mental health. In conclusion, the closing opposition believe that academic pressure should not be seen as the main cause of student mental health issue. The real cause are multidimensional, including family situation, social media influence, and the lack of coping skill. Reducing academic pressure alone will not solve the problem. What we truly need is stronger emotional education, better support system, and open conversation about mental well-being. Therefore, we proudly stand to reject this motion and remind everyone that mental health is not about one single factor. It is about the balance between life, environment, and emotional strength. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, honorable judges, and respected members of the House. My name is Andini Nurfitria. As the government whip, I proudly stand here to bring clarity, weight, and closer to this debate. From the very beginning, this House has discussed the origins of students' mental health problems, and after hearing all sides, it becomes crystal clear that academic pressure stands as the primary cause. The opening government has effectively established that the constant pressure from exams, grades, and performance expectation directly causes anxiety and stress among students. Building upon that, the closing government, through our members' extensions, proved that academic pressure is not only a significant contributor, but the central, structural, and institutionalized source of students' mental health decline. a pressure that shapes every part of a student's life. Meanwhile, the opening opposition claimed that stress and anxiety come from multiple sources, such as family expectation, social environment, and technological distractions, and therefore, academic pressure cannot be labeled as the main cause. However, their argument fails to recognize that these so-called multiple factors are not independent. They are symptoms and byproduct of the same academic system that glorifies achievement above well-being. Our claim stands firm. Academic pressure is the most pervasive, consistent, and miserable cause of mental distress in students. The data reinforce this. According to WHO's 2023 Global Student Mental Health Report, over 70% of students identify academic workload and examination expectations as their dominant source of anxiety, for exciting family or peer-related causes. Similarly, Harvard's 2022 longitudinal research on school competition demonstrated that students in high-pressure academic environments were 60% more likely to suffer from depression and burnout. The warrant behind these data points is simple yet powerful. The academic system defines the rhythm and meaning of a student's daily life, from early morning classes, heavy assignment, and continuous assessment to societal judgment based on grades and rankings. When an institution demands perfection, it conditions students to equate self-worth with achievement. This constant evaluation and fear of failure cultivate a psychological environment where anxiety, exhaustion, and self-doubt become normalized. The opposition's reasoning, claiming that academic stress can build character or resilience, collapses when we look at the real evidence. Chronic academic pressure destroys motivation rather than strengthening it. There is a profound difference between healthy challenge and toxic overpressure. What exists today in schools and universities is no longer inspiration but suffocation. Even the opposition agreement that environment and family also contribute is incomplete because this external pressure often originates from academic expectations. Parents pressure children because of grades. Social anxiety develops from competition over academic recognition. Even technological burnout stems from the constant academic demand to be productive. Therefore, our breaking lies in the undeniable reality that academic pressure serves the core catalyst. It is the thread connecting all these secondary pressure. The closing government thus reframes the debate entirely. This is not about denying that multiple pressure exists, but about identifying which one fundamentally sustains them all. Academic pressure is that root because systemic, institutional, and normalized to the point where students think suffering is a retirement from success. This house must recognize that when education becomes synonymous with exhaustion, we are no longer building future leaders, but we are producing generation burned by anxiety and fear of failure. Therefore, in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, after weighing all arguments, we affirm that academic pressure is not just a factor, but the primary cause of student mental health problems, shaping and amplifying every other form of psychological distress. For the sake of our students' well-being and the integrity of education itself, we, the closing government, stand united to defend this motion. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I am Ananda, the second speaker of the closing opposition. We strongly believe that academic pressure is not the main cause of student mental health problems. Instead, mental health issues come from a mix of personal, social, and environmental factors that beyond academics. First, let's recall our stance. Opening opposition has shown that mental health problems are influenced by various pressures. As the closing theme, we extend this by saying the real issue is not the amount of pressure, but the lack of balance and support in students' life. Many students struggle not just because of schoolwork, but because they lack sleep, social time, and emotional support. When someone is exhausted and lonely, even small academic tasks feel overwhelming. So it's not academic pressure itself, but poor coping system and imbalance that cause mental distress. Next, let's talk about cultural and parental expectation. In many societies, students through pressure from parents to achieve high score or get into top universities, even if school reduces workload. This family pressure remains proving that academic pressure is not the root cause. Also, academic pressure can actually be beneficial when managed well. It helps build discipline, resilience, and problem-solving skills, while qualities needed in real life. What students need are better support system like counseling and open communication, not less pressure. If academic pressure were truly the main cause, students would feel fine during holiday, but many still experience anxiety and loneliness. This shows the problem is deeper than academic to academic pressure is not the primary cause of study mental health issue. The real cause include family expectation, social media, lack of emotional education, and weak support system. What students need is not less pressure, but better preparation, stronger, resilient, and supportive environments. Thank you.